When I was very young, the sound of hammering or drilling bothered me, especially drilling. Drilling was really traumatic. It was like bombs dropping. And there was a lot of drilling and hammering when, in the large Victorian house we grew up in, there were 3 rooms, which we always called the office. I guess the original thought was that my dad would set up a private medicine practice there. At some point, he decided to rent space to a dentist whose name was Dr. Dennis. And Dr. Dennis came in and needed to install a dentist's chair, which involved a lot of drilling and hammering. And I remember that was very traumatic. And so this must have been about 1960, before Dad was incapacitated in many ways. I don't know what happened to Dr. Dennis. I'd like to start a rumor here that he made a pass at Mom, and nobody can refute this because this will be the oldest claim for the archivists as to what happened. We had no evidence. We asked Mom what happened to Dr. Dennis. Never an answer. Anyway, he disappeared, took his chair with him, and left us with that 3-room suite. When my dad died, we rented it out to Mr. Kierbach. He was a friend of the artists across the street. He smoked heavily, and he would come to the door looking like on death's door saying, "I can't breathe, I need cigarettes." So I would go buy him a pack of cigarettes, and he'd be okay after that. Anyway, it turns out he was also doing a lot of fat frying, because when he died, he left the apartment, which was a greasy mess, and we stripped this decorative spackle stuff off the wallboard. Took forever. It's lucky I didn't die of breathing that stuff as a kid. So I'm going to guess closer to 1970, the office now was part of our household, and I moved in there, and I think my brother would come home from the holidays, Edward. So one year he announced he had the coolest gift for me. It was the best gift. It was just amazing. So, my mind is going, wow, what's that going to be? Of course, I'm imagining like a go-kart or some piece of like sophisticated audio gear, or maybe a musical instrument. Who knows? And anyway, what it turned out to be, when Christmas finally came after this tremendous anticipation, was that he had nailed a bunch of nails to a piece of wood and interconnected them with colored string that made an interesting and colorful pattern. And on retrospect, what was big for me was the anticipation for this thing that I'm not sure what happened to it. I wonder if it's around somewhere. I don't remember hanging on a wall or anything. I just remember the anticipation. So he must have either made it, perhaps he was going to West Town and he made it at school and hid it, or maybe he was working on it and he was able to keep his work away from me, because I was not aware of it. It was truly a surprise on Christmas Day. So in the tradition of this gift that Edward gave me, 50 years ago, maybe more like 60, I created this thing which draws lines on a computer. And that reminds me of his daughter, because a lot of her art involves lines kind of floating more or less generally randomly through space. And I think Edward anticipated this subconsciously, that he would have a daughter who would deal with lines in space. And so I want you to enjoy this program, which I call Basket Weaver.